I live and die by the motto of live better, smarter, and longer. The healthcare system is broken, okay? It's broken in this country. I tell this to people on a daily basis. Nobody is born or nobody develops a deficiency of a medication. Right? Let's say that you say, well, I'm gonna start running 20 miles a day. Great, good for your heart, good for this, good for that. Your knees are gonna suffer. There's always a downside. Everything that you do is always a downside. A big chunk of what we do as physicians is to try to. What's up, everybody? Welcome to No Limits with Dr. Thierry Jacquemin. You guessed it, Dr. Thierry Jacquemin. I'm a board-certified internist. What the hell does that mean? It means that I'm trained and board-certified to deal with adults and acute and chronic illnesses. My practice, my focus is very much on performance, right? I live and die by the motto of live better, smarter, and longer. And I always add in stronger, right? We're going to talk about the healthcare system today. A lot of people are not going to like what I have to say, but it doesn't make it any less true. The healthcare system is broken, okay? It's broken in this country. To be fair, it's not only broken in this country, but I think more than anywhere, it's a clear manifestation that things are not working properly here. Why? For a billion different reasons that would probably take 10 hours to go, but we're going to talk about the more salient features of this. So why do I keep saying that the system is broken? The system focuses on low quality, on bare survival. It doesn't focus at all on treating causes. It doesn't focus at all on treating things upstream, right? It's a very superficial view of problems. It's basically complaint, symptoms, maybe one medication. Complaints, symptoms, maybe another medication. You get to a point, if you're not careful, if you don't use your noggin as a practitioner, as a physician, you get to the point where you're basically just managing side effect upon side effect upon side effect, right? I tell this to people on a daily basis. Nobody is born or nobody develops a deficiency of a medication, ever. I don't care what the medication is, right? You might have a deficiency in a vitamin, you might have a deficiency in a particular nutrient, you might have a deficiency in a mineral, you might have a deficiency in hormones. God knows we're going to be talking a lot about hormones. But for damn sure, you don't have a deficiency in a prescription medication, right? That's the key point, right? So I'll give you a very, very common scenario, totally hypothetical, of course, but it happens every bloody day in every clinic across this country, really across the world. Go see a doctor who is overstressed, overworked, has very little time. A lot of that is mandated by insurance companies, by the way. That's going to be another episode to blow that up. You complain about X, Y, and Z. They figure, well, don't worry about it. I have a medication to give you for either X or either Y or either Z or sometimes all three. So you go home with your medication. Start taking your medication. Very little effort has been done a lot of times to manage or to identify the cause of X, Y, or Z, right? But now there's a name to this process. Which usually isn't very helpful, right? So it's a name to some disease process that somebody has identified, and then off you go with your pill. Take your pill. You can read the classifications, right, and the details on any single prescription medications. There's no free lunch, right? Everything has its side effects. So what happens? You take your pill, develop your side effect, right? So you take something, let's say, because you're nauseous, right? And you take a medication. And mind you, nobody's identified why you're nauseous. Well, now you get a headache from the medication. Go back and you say, well, I have a headache. Don't worry, I have a pill for that. Off you go with your second medication, right? Now you take the second medication, you have a rash. I think, oh, well, don't worry about it. We have medications for that, right? Here's your medication for your rash. Awesome. Now you're on 3 pills and you still don't know what the hell is going on with you, right? And you keep going. It's very simple. Now you have your rash and now you have some abnormality in your blood because it's been caused by one of the medications. What do? Go back, get more testing done. Don't worry. It's a brand new drug that fixes Problem number 4, you still haven't fixed anything. I'm here to tell you that the only way this works more and more as we uncovered the idea of not just your genes, but the fact that this concept of epigenetics, right? What the hell is epigenetics? Epigenetics is the fact that you can literally massage your genes into something else. So you're not your genes, you're not a hostage to your genes, right? This bullshit that a lot of people are led to believe about my whole family is overweight, therefore I can only be overweight. My whole family has blah, blah, blah. Not true. Not saying that genetics don't matter. Obviously, they matter, right? If you're born 7'9", or if you're born to be 3 foot tall, it is what it is, right? And then I'm using extremes to illustrate a point. But the fact of the matter is, of course, there are genetic predispositions, but they're nothing more than predispositions. The way that you express or don't express those genes is going to be the next huge wave in medical care, right? So this idea that healthcare, proper healthcare, should be personalized, right? So are there commonalities? Of course, because we're all human, right? But there's a lot of differences, or so-called polymorphisms, right? Polymorphisms are basically just that different expressions of the same pattern of genes, okay? So the example that I tell everybody is to say, look, let's say that, you're going to be born tomorrow, and the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is going to give you a set of features, a set of gifts, right? Some of them are going to be awesome. Some of them perhaps are not going to be so awesome. What you do with that set is completely dependent upon you, right? You can be given great athletic gifts, for example, but if all you do is sit home, lay down, play video games, and eat donuts, you're going to be an overweight person who at one point or another had athletic gifts. On the other hand, you can be given fairly modest physical gifts, but if you work your ass off, guess what's going to happen? You're going to develop a lot more than the person who potentially, right, was given a lot more. So this idea of potential is very similar to this idea of your gene pool, okay? So once again, you're not a hostage to that factor, okay? And as I tell everybody on a daily basis, you are your own best agent, okay? So the old idea that was very paternalistic, that you would go see a doctor and they would say, don't worry about it, 3 words, and I got it, I figured this out, and here's your pill. Back then there were like 3 medicines. It was a lot easier to keep track of. Very different construct, right? So remember that. Remember that for a lot of different reasons. So back to this idea that the healthcare system is broken. Why do I continue to say that? Because we spend very little time dealing with people's habits. We spend very little time dealing with nutritional habits, with sleep habits, with lifestyle, with mindset, right? We forget the fact that your dome is not just a skull and a brain, but it's everything that guides your decision-making. It's everything that guides your health, and so forth. But until you spend some time looking for causes of what you should be doing, you're not doing anything other than putting a little tiny Band-Aid on something, right? Think about just the concept of medication, right? Medicating. What are you doing when you're medicating? You're managing something, right? Yes, there are times when all you can do is manage things. I've worked both in emergency medicine and now work in an outpatient setting with very different focus, right? My focus in the emergency room was making sure somebody didn't die. My focus now is making sure that people can live amazing, awesome lives for as long as they can live it. Completely different focus. Why do I say that? Because I've seen both extremes, right? I've seen the most horrible of horrible things that you can imagine, and I've seen the most awesome levels of human performance, mental performance, physical performance, and so on. And in between, right? In between most people, that's where most human beings live. But again, the idea is that you're not deficient in any one medication. Am I sitting here telling you that there is never a place for medication? Of course not. Medications can save a lot of people, right? So everything in its right context, but there has to be evidence, there has to be a reason and there has to be ultimately a cause, right? So again, we go back to the concept of risk and benefit, right? There is no bloody free lunch with anything that you do. Even the most positive maneuver, even the best, most amazing thing that you do, right? Let's say that you say, well, I'm going to start running 20 miles a day. Great. Good for your heart, good for this, good for that. Your knees are going to suffer. There's always a downside. Everything that you do is always a downside. A big chunk of what we do as physicians is to try to guide that, okay? So I'm here to try to bring a paradigm shift, right? A shift in how we look at things, how we look at sick people, okay? Because disease happens in a body that is already chronically damaged by bad food, damaged by synthetic hormones in food, damaged by GMOs, damaged by high cortisol because of our lifestyles, damaged by electromagnetic radiation. There's a lot more. There's hours of all these different things that are affecting people, but all those things are factors, okay? So part of our mission here is going to be to hopefully unbreak the system. We're not going to do it overnight, and I'm for damn sure not going to do it alone, but one decision at a time, almost like a little trickle in the ocean, and we will get there. This is the first, hopefully, of many. I want you to like, share, subscribe. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you didn't and you hate it, still share and subscribe, and then don't watch the rest if you don't care to, but share it to somebody, because somebody hopefully will actually get some benefit. I want to thank my partners and my sponsors, Power Boosts, Smart Invest, Jungle House Studios, and Lux Galore. See you later.